Hi, welcome to my video on 8 fragrances for noobs, or as I like to call it, the 8 fragrance starter pack for noobs who don't really want to smell like they're noobs. So here we go. I've devised these 8 fragrances, 2 for each season, 1 for day, 1 for night, for all occasions, and one that's friendly for your budget. And most importantly, you're not going to smell like others, which means that people aren't going to know that you're a fragrance noob. I think I might just put this pipe away. Let's start. Let's start in the season that everything starts and when everything is born again, and that is spring. And in the spring daytime, you will wear this one. This is Loam by Yves Saint Laurent. It is perfect for a spring day. Let me tell you why. Now, I often refer to Loam as the joke with no punchline. That's because most noobs would pick it up and they would smell it and they would be like, the fuck is this? I mean, it's nice and all, but where's my beast mode projection? Where's my 87 hours of longevity? Where's my compliments, bruh? Where's the punchline? And that's just it. Loam is not a knock-knock joke. Loam is like this well-structured and humorous story that keeps you smiling all the way through, as it takes slow twists and turns to give you a chuckle here and there. But you're not gonna piss yourself laughing. Okay, I think I've done as much as I can with that analogy. So let's move on to the actual fragrance itself. So the opening has this ginger and citrus, which really play together very well. It's very common to have these notes in an opening of a fragrance because they're just so effervescent and they give life to a fragrance that really wants to bring you more energy, let's say. But Loam adds a bit of violet in there as well to give it a bit of an ozonic feel as well. This vibe of freshness and energy is the same kind of vibe that you would get on a spring day. Yes, longevity is not that great on this. So I recommend that you get a big ass bottle of it and spray the shit out of it. And your clothes as well. Spray your clothes. Just be careful that you don't spray your clothes with sort of darker colored fragrances, especially if you're wearing like a white shirt, and especially if there are a higher concentration of perfume oils, because you might stain your clothes. I thought I might just mention that quickly. But this one, in my experience, doesn't stain your clothes. So spray. And when you spray your clothes, you'll find that this will be wafting off your clothes as the spring sun sort of heats up your clothes, or your body heats up your clothes. You'll be smelling this all throughout the day. It'll keep you smiling throughout the day. And you know what they say about people who smile? They attract good vibes. Unless you have a terrible smile, in which case, smile on the inside. And when the sun sets on your spring day, you need to have this one right here. This is 1 Million Lucky by Paco Rabanne. Lucky continues the violet kind of vibe in its opening, but it turns this fragrance into a more gourmand sort of feel because it has other things in here like the plum and the hazelnut that all work together to give it sort of like this edible quality. Now, I probably said gourmand and you probably don't know what that means. A gourmand kind of fragrance is basically a fragrance that smells like stuff you want to eat. And no, bacon fragrances are not a gourmand. Or are they? This one is all about that punchline. If I could describe it with one word, it would be yummy. Yes. Now, imagine someone who you find extremely attractive saying that your fragrance smells yummy. Yeah. It projects quite well and it lasts for quite a long time. And yes, if you're looking for compliments on your taste in fragrances, this one is going to do quite well for you. And if you're good looking enough to someone, you might get bitten, which, depending on what you're into, might not be a bad thing. You sicko. Next we move to summer and the daytime. And I'm going to recommend to you fragrance noobs who don't want to smell like fragrance noobs, this one right here. This is Tommy Hilfiger. Tommy. 1995 was a really good year for fragrances, and that's when this thing dropped. It was a huge hit, but now it's not really talked about all that much. But guess what? This is still in production, and it's actually heaps cheaper than it used to be back in the 90s. And it is still a super decent, quite unique, and very likable scent. Now I'm recommending Tommy because there's really not too many people wearing this at this point in time, or even talking about it. And it doesn't have ambroxan in it, which is always a plus in my book. Sure, it's been reformulated, but I think the reformulation has done well. You can tell the reformulation because these new ones have a blue font when they say Tommy out the front here, and the cap is shiny. The old formulations, the cap was a matte metallic gray, and the actual color that Tommy is written in was not blue. It was a light gray or a matte gray, just like the cap as well. And the box is different as well. And the only thing that I can detect as a difference between the original formulation and the one that you can get in store today is that the original one had this delicious Granny Smith apple note. That's still there, but it's been subdued a little bit in the newer formulations, but that's about it. But for $20, I really don't think you can find a better alternative for a daytime summer fragrance that can do it all. Oh, and longevity is stellar for a cheap-ass freshie like this. Yes, it's fresh with that mint and citrus up the top, but kooky enough to include notes like cactus and cranberry and all that other stuff, which kind of make it smell a little bit unique. And it also has this aquatic vibe to it, even though there's no real aquatic notes in it. Now, I do have a confession to make. I never wore this in the 90s. That's because everyone else was wearing it for me. But now I wear it regularly. You can see that I've actually made a dent in this bottle, which I got only quite recently. I think only like last year or the year before. I do wear it quite regularly, and for someone with a collection the size of mine, for this to actually get some play, it's pretty good. And after you've spent the day soaking up the sun at the beach, you go home, you shower, you get dressed in not very much because, you know, it's summer after all, and you get ready to go out. But before you do, you wear this. This is Sirius Rouge by Givenchy, also from 1995. Continuing and amping up the cactus from Tommy, this one combines the cactus with pimento and geranium over a sandalwood base. Oh wait, you're a noob and you don't know what that means, do you? Okay, if I were to translate that to a noob, I would say that this smells like a sweet chili jam that's been sprayed with tequila. This is the stuff that you wear when you go out looking for trouble. You know, the good kind of trouble. Why am I recommending another 90s fragrance? It's easy, because the same reason that I recommended Tommy. It's still in production, it's still super good, it's still super unique, and no one's talking about it anymore. Hey, wait, why am I talking about it? Let's just keep this between you and I. The old, little bit of the old catnip. Ah, great. And in the autumn daytime, you'll wear this. Givenchy Pie. Yet another 90s fragrance, this one from 1999. And ever since it was released, there has yet to be a better fragrance for an autumn day. This is it. This is still in production, and it really hasn't changed all that much with reformulations, except that there's a little bit less depth in the benzone base that it had in the original. This is a vintage bottle, but I have tested against the new ones, and it is extremely similar in my view. What's benzoin, you ask? Google it, you lazy mother. Okay. So what's the vibe of this scent? During the day, the smell of Givenchy's Pie is like if the most luxurious cashmere sweater came to life and gave you a hug after warming itself up next to an oven that was baking a marzipan and vanilla pie. Wait, pie smells like pie? And in the autumn daytime, you will wear this, none other than La Nuit de Lome by Yves Saint Laurent, because it's really, really nice. It's really, really nice, you know? Like, I mean, look, it's one-dimensional, yes, but it's a really nice dimension. Spicy cardamom is the main player in this one, and it gives off a nice sort of green apple note, even though there's no green apple note in the fragrance. Let me give you an understanding of how nice this actually is if you have never actually smelled this fragrance. I sprayed this on the hand of a friend of mine who's not into fragrances at all. And he smelled it and he said, oh yeah, it's really nice. It's quite likable. And then 5 minutes later, he smelled it again. He was like, yeah, wow, this is actually really nice. And then 10 minutes later, he was like, dude, where can I buy this from? And then he proceeded to smell himself silly for the rest of the night. And if you're wondering, yes, it has the same effect on girls too. And now we move on to the winter daytime, and the one that you will be wearing is this one right here. This is Le Bleu d'Issey by Issey Miyake. Another stupidly cheap one, but yet it's so high quality. It's a long-lasting, unique smelling, all-occasion fragrance for a crisp winter's day. It makes you feel fresh and invigorated, mostly from the juniper and ginger, but in a herbaceous and foresty way because of the rosemary and the cypress that's in here as well. Like I said, it's high quality, and I don't think that there's an age limit on this one. Anybody can rock this. It is just solid. Now, normally I'd say a fragrance like this unique, is not a blind buy, but it's 20 bucks. And you're a noob, and that 20 bucks is buying you respect, because it's kind of going to look like you know what you're doing. Yeah, you're welcome. And in the winter night, you will wear this one right here. This is Dior Homme Intense. Doesn't matter what formulation you have. Even the brand new batches are all fine. There's nothing wrong with them, despite what anybody says. Okay, so you need to have at least one fragrance that is a bit pricier, but well worth the money. You need to have at least one fragrance that you can dress up with. You need to have that one fragrance that has that wow factor. All of the fragrances that I mentioned play their role really well, but this one knocks it out of the park. There's a reason that nobody talks shit about this fragrance. Look it up. No one talks shit about this because it's just that solid and it's just that quality. It is quality and understated elegance in a bottle. Now, I would have recommended the original Dior Homme, but I think that's been discontinued and is getting very hard to find. Plus, that one, you need to wear it. This one, it's okay if you let it wear you. You can take a back seat and watch it do its magic with its iris, pear, and cacao combo. On cold winter nights when you're dressed in more layers, to have this radiating out from the warmth of your body to passers-by is gonna be like hot butter on a breakfast toast cutting through that cold winter air. Man, you're gonna get a few double takes. You're gonna get a few of these like... And that wraps up my well thought out fragrance recommendations for noobs who don't really want to smell like noobs. I hope you found this informative, and once again, you're welcome, and as always, thanks for watching.